when you see prevent me from being able to use it. The app, first thing is an overview to all of your framing arguments. All of them respond to Kant, but not Mill's explanation of Kant, which is that viewing people with universal dignity specifically to solve the question. We don't depend on agency, universality, reason, or any of the shit. It's just about the question of can people assert their own right to humanity and try is a good thing, which means that in all of your arguments go, wait, you can extend the affirmative offense, which is that the US is backing like horrible missions to the military aid in African countries like Libya, Somalia, Congo, and use it for imperialistic and horrible concerns. The black radical vision requires a globalized connection with community building based on philosophical liberation movement of the policy that is key to be able to solve different things. Now, your arguments on the card. First thing is heresy, after shutdown. First thing is that durable fiat solves 100% of the shutdown will go away at some point, which means that at some point that SCO will be, which means that you still need the app plan to be able to solve that. You're born 15 evidence to solve the app. We see that yes, there's some sort of ontological claim, but the way that we move past it is by asserting people's humanity. That's specifically to be able to solve different things and be able to move past that point. You can see the parameters underneath the affirmative case, which is that the parameters outweigh point is that norms, which proves that norms ought to be substantively should be. B point proves that there's a pragmatic consideration that occurs before substance. The standard was real education. That was the Germany Britzing stuff, which means it goes wait. Also, terminal defense to critique because it's going back to the affirmative standard. The critique proper. First thing is that overview to the critique. It has no alternative, which is that you have no reason to do this. It's a non-nucleus set. And we're taking the that's a reason to reject it because the fact it's just floating, you could change it. Second is that language always changes. The fact that the 1AC was able to change language from blindness, which is a harmful term, to something that's used to be able to just in regular context is proof that the fact that language always changes and language turns your standard because it proves that it's no longer being used for a harmful thing. Third is that censorship fails. This is just a strategy that's meant to be able to censor things that fails. It's evidenced by things like speech codes, which are just used to a backlash on different people, on people of color, and different things. Fourth is that permutation to the app and the alternative minus it, and the mind to the alternative. Also, should be able to solve 100% of should be able to solve 100% of things. Obviously, we solve for disability, and we just say that they have to be able to assert their humanity. That's a net benefit and allows people to not face this violence and round.
Okay. Prep starts now. What was the first argument on the K?
The first argument on the K was that language constantly changes and language is fluid, right? Like the app did not use blindness in like a term that was like, oh, you're blind and that's derogatory, right? The app uses it as like something that's been able to challenge this, right? So for example, right, like queer used to be a word that was derogatory, right? But like it's no longer, which proves that language changes and that me doing this is a good strategy to sort of remove the derogatory power of words, right? I have your time, by the way.
Okay. The order is going to be the language K to the app.
Okay.
Just actually, can I ask you a question before I start?
Yeah.
Was the PerfCon argument on the for disclosure K dropped to the data warrant?
What was the PerfCon argument?
Okay, that's fine.
Sure. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Yeah, I might be able to answer your question. Sorry. Like which argument?
You don't disclose the NC.
Do you want to use speech time if you're going to ask a question?
Okay.
No, I don't implicate that.
Okay, okay, that's good. Everyone ready?
Mm-hmm. Wait, where are you starting? Sorry.
Blindness K.
Sure.
App. The blindness K is very badly undercovered. You just whip out 4 analytical arguments at the end of the ACB. You can see the multiple implications from the first show as to why discussions of disability are a fire question. The first argument I'm going to extend is that your role of an educator established ableism. This was the Beckett evidence, which was completely conceded, which is that if we don't challenge ableism in educational spaces, it philosophers and spills over to adults essentially outweighs any single argument you go for about how you're not being psychological. It says that if you do not challenge ableism, the educator will spill over, and the students will learn ableist assumptions with theological levels. This causes empirical violence against bodies. For example, if we don't hold people accountable for their reps in their discourse, they would inherently be ableist as adults, which is just a larger impact. Your only response to this is that I don't cause psychological violence because nothing I've done is violent, that's wrong. But this is an argument in the context of the first show. I'm going to implicate the Beckett evidence to the critique as an independent reason to vote. Don't allow him to leverage any ableism arguments from the initial disclosure interpretation to the K proper. Now in the K proper, extend the argument. You can see that blindness is used as a signifier for a lack of knowledge and for a lack of understanding something. That's just Remain 11 argument. You have to see the Rodenberg 14 evidence, which says that absent correcting this and absent holding people accountable for their discourse, we begin to view disability as something that's unknown and even the pathologizing stable body, which causes cultural oppression. The Rodenberg evidence is really strong. It says that if we don't hold people accountable because of cultural oppression, you make 4 responses. The first argument makes this that language is fundamentally fluid, and we're reinterpreting the term. No, you're not. You use say I'm going into the round blind to say I have a lack of knowledge about something. That is inherently a definition of the link to the K. You can't just say language is fluid without a warrant and then say, oh, I'm re-articulating the term. You're using the term in the exact context Remain is critiquing. Literally, you say I'm going to the round blind. That signifies a lack of knowledge insofar as you have a lack of knowledge of what is happening in the round. That is a link to the K. This is a bullshit argument that was just whipped out with like 2 seconds left. The second argument, you go first, that you say censorship fails, if speech becomes bad. A point, there's no award for this argument. B point is, even if censorship is in general bad, it's a question of education. The Beckett evidence indicates that even if we shouldn't censor people in real life, we should just hold people accountable in the classroom, hold people accountable for what their reparations in the debate space. This is not a question of this is not a question of censoring you. This is a question of you not using offensive language. See, when this argument justifies morally repugnant conclusions, for example, it would justify someone literally saying the N-word in a debate round and then saying, oh, you can't drop me because that's censorship, and that's really bad. That's obviously, even if this isn't necessarily a reciprocal conclusion, it's a question of you justify this argument logically makes no sense. Even there's no implication to this argument. Even if you're going to say, oh, people are facing more pressure, they're censored. No, the argument isn't that we're being censored. The argument is that instead we are correcting your discourse and making sure you act appropriately in the real world. This spills over. This is the Beckett 11 argument. So the last argument you go for, you say there's no implication to the alternative. It definitely is. It doesn't say reason to drop you. There's a strictly like it's in the one I see, and even if you make the argument that it isn't the alternative, this is inherently a reps K and a method K of AC. If you concede the Beckett evidence, which is a reps voter argument, and you conceded a reps DA to the app, that's obviously going to be a reason to vote for. Even if that it's really an effect on the comparative worlds, because you say comparative worlds cares about oppression, and so far as it cares about the app, and if you are being oppressed, that's obviously both a world you defend in the debate space and a world you defend outside of the debate space where we engage in oppressive language that's still linked to the app. Lastly, the perms reject perms on reps Ks. Even allows you to get out of morally repugnant arguments. You can just say, oh, perm to the AC without like the N-word, which is obviously really bad. It makes sure you never learn anything. B point, perms are flight, and flight if they're not doing you're being if perms are flight. If I prove that you're being if I prove that you're being messed up, you can't just like get away. You can't just get out of it. It's obviously maybe sequencing sequence. This is severance perm. You can't do the entirety of the app without your language. That's fundamentally illogical, and that's severance. Seven perms are voting issue. A point is you over the negative because you can just always get out of any negative argument because all evidence invalidates a bunch of NCC stuff. B point, seven perms allow the AC and A simply explode their advocacy, including everything. They can respond to this argument. Next argument, you can see that after and then theory is dropped the competing interpretations of NORVI, and you didn't extend no neg theory, which means that this is another independent voter. And additionally, the perm doesn't solve because you can't because this is an indicted if you're adding you in the round. It's not an indicted if you're advocacy. I'm not pretty up. You can't perm out your advocacy. This is an indicted of what you said in the this is an indicted of what you said in the rounds. The perm is fundamentally illogical. The point, even if you're winning the perm, that's still a reason why you're fundamentally bad because your reps are bad. This is a question of what this is a question of what you justify on the AC proper. You have conceded. You have badly misundercovered the responses. You have badly misundercovered. Actually, you make this last argument about how the AC resolved it. It's the piece you got with us at this stage, and you're just making an argument how the AC resolves ableism in the empirical world. What the K is saying is that your use of the word blind in the round is fundamentally bad. Don't allow me to go for a broad claim that black radical communism solved for ableism in the 2AR. The last now in case you have conceded. You have badly undercovered the permissibility worse than the street of six. Your only responses is we care about human dignity. This is definitely severance from cross. Like I literally asked you, yes, you defend the confident subject, and you said yes. This obviously proves that your way of establishing how we get human dignity is fundamentally bad. You have conceded that the confident subject is always contaminated by its experiences in the empirical world, but those experiences are reliable, which causes permissibility. Insofar as we can never actually be isolated, we can never actually be isolated agents. However, we never actually be isolated agents. However, when we're infected by empirical circumstances, we never know it's reliable. The other you have conceded is the tailoring objection, which says that any person can tailor a maxim to incorporate that, which means that your kind of black radical confidence is never actually widening. Insofar as you're trying to criticize on subject matter, you're going to say, oh no, we only care about solving oppression, we only care about pursuing dignity. But the point is that we can tailor away from solving that dignity in the first place. It's necessarily presupposes your ability to gain access to the opportunities. You say military aid is bad, but we can just tailor away from military aid. This is a conceded argument. The last conceded argument you concede is that presumption negates because if I presume that everything true, I presume that both an obligation to do P and an obligation to do not P. For example, I know nothing about the subject, I presume the subject true and the subject false. And I presume my action to do it. So if I know nothing about a particular action, I presume that I should do it and I shouldn't do it, which is a logical contradiction, which justifies voting negative presumption. This also applies to comparative worlds because this is that you don't have a comparative presumption is good. Look, this is a very easy one. The 2AR is going to go for big picture arguments. Probably the argument that there's no alt for the reps K. They have conceded the Beckett evidence, which says that there's a pre-PR obligation as an educator to reject ableism in the spaces. The link is clear. They are not recontextualizing language. They are using a term in the exact context I'm critiquing, where they use blindness as a synonym for a lack of knowledge. Even then, they badly misundercover the con triggers permissibility / presumption debate, which means they just do not have offense. They're going to go for an argument that the AC is a good idea and that we still do swing it 2AR, but the whole point is that under your moral calculus, we can just tailor out of that, and we're never actually bound by it, which is going to be an easy negative doubt.
What are the reasons why severance was bad?
It's irreciprocal because you can just like use severance to create like the perfect advocacy for yourself, and it invalidates NC speech time.
It invalidates what?
NC speech time because you can just sever out of like everything I say.
Okay.
Also, there was reasons why severance perm was bad, which is like you can just like set. There's just reasons why perms are bad in like reps case.
Oh, can you say that again? Like what were those?
There were like 3 of them. Let me think. They were kind of sensitive. We never hold you accountable for your discourse. Then there's just like analysis about how Yeah, we never hold you accountable for your discourse. It's a question of like the app's supposed to be advocacy, and then there's I think there's another one I forget.
Oh shit. So it's gonna be like the theory stuff that's red, like severance bad, and then it's gonna be the link turn on the K. Like both of them, censorship and like the word usage thing.
So severance and then, but just on the K?
Yeah.
Alright.
We're good?
Yeah.
Even if I did not extend this bike, it was still conceded, which is that you should be able to reject tuner theory in case the argument that was made is that it means you just like to be able to stand back, and also means that it's late breaking, which is the ultimate judge mentioned. Worst case, I'll still respond to this and give you hesitant upon this. Two framing issues. A point is that the tuner did not extend paradigm issues, which is that you should not grant them any of the paradigm issues. Did not extend any of them, which is the fundamental has no impact. The point tuner theory should uniquely be dropped the argument because of the fact that anything else would just mean that anything else would just mean that I have to waste a ton of time responding. It determined me to cause me to split between going for substance and actual theory. Now, this severance by you have two warrants that it's irreciprocal and that it causes they were just by C point. A point is that in your irreciprocal argument you can just write things like floating pics and also things like also pics are from advocacy, so I can't be able to separate argument and you're able to go for things. So it's definitely reciprocal and it's capable to check on this. B point is that you get to be able to contest the affirmative framework and the offense, whereas I only have to be able to defend or you get to contest either and pick out one of those things or critique one of them, whereas I have to go for both and defend both, which is it's uniquely reciprocal for me able to sever and be able to check on that. Your second argument says that you just let me severing out of everything on the one. See, 8 point is that you still go for critiquing at the alternative cells and still allows you to go for these go for the arguments. You still literally did that in the context of this round. You literally said that you literally just go for this as a disside against the affirmative, so there's no reason why I can't do that. Second thing is that it's worse for the affirmative when it has some sort of thing because of the fact that it's uniquely at a time, so you can pick out of anything in the 1AC2, which means that it's fundamentally non-unique and it's worse for the affirmative because I only have the aphorism. You have multiple different options you could leverage against it, and you don't have to be tied to the resolution. Independently, severance is also good because of the fact that you can pick any sort of objective to the there are millions of them, which the standard is limited to that. It also means I would have to be able to prevent any from doing things. I have one sufficient reason to the reps terms are a bad thing was not implicated as a theory issue. It's just a reason to reject all of them. Worst case, the only reasons why the reps terms are bad are also the same reasons why severance is bad. I should be able to do things, or I should be held accountable for those things. Those are all just reasons why I should be able to separate things, which is the same thing. The critique, I'm going to go for the argument that says that language changes all the time, that my usage of this metaphor is not bad. Here's the framing issue. I'm conceding the role of the vowel in this round and blink turning the critique, which means that I'm not defending the 1AC framework. The permissibility triggers and case terms do not matter. Here's the argument that's made. The argument that I'm making is that when I say this term and I use the word blind in a different language or context than it's being separated from, that means it's being separated from its usage and it's being used differently. The word queer was a derogatory term that was used, but it's no longer something that's derogatory and is a word of empowerment for different people. Language changes, and that was the empirical warrant that I read in the 1 year. You do not need to be able to, even if you did not pass a warrant in the 1 year, I'm just giving an empirical example of this, which is something that I can do for 2 year grandstanding purposes. Now, the framing issue on this is that because I'm using it in this term, it means it's a word of empowerment. It is no longer something that is derogatory. There's a very clear distinction between me saying something derogatory and being like, oh, you are blind and that is bad, versus being saying going into round is bad. The tuner did not articulate a warrant for why using this metaphor is bad. My thing is it is a term of empowerment because I'm changing the functional usage of the term and it's no longer something that's bad. There are 2 impacts. It's linked defense to the critique because of the fact that I'm not using it in the same manner that you're trying to say. Even if my context of thing is bad, the fact that I'm changing the application of it is something that's good. The second thing is that it link turns it because of empowering. Your only response is that I'm re-articulating the definition by saying I'm going into the round blind. Yes, my point is I'm re-articulating it and I'm applying it in a different context, so the word is applied differently and is no longer derogatory. Words are a tool of empowerment that change over time and can be used in a good manner. There's no reason as to why the critique should be learning this. Worst case, it's a non-unique decide.